So let's jump into the announcements. First thing I wanted to do was recognize, I think it's pronounced Kurogi, for submitting a fix for an issue that we had with Wallet Connect. So I've linked that here in the notes. There's a pull request that's been merged, and I think we will probably get that deployed hopefully this week. So thanks so much for that. Is a relatively simple change, but a great example of a small issue that somebody could make a quick contribution to, and it's pretty impactful because there are quite a few users who were trying to use Wallet Connect with our dApp. Then on the rotation that we have for when there is a DeFi hack, we typically go through and investigate each one of those to see if there's anything that we can learn from it. And then we write up a report. We publish those in a GitHub repo. And Frank, you want to let everybody know how that rotation has changed?
Yeah, I updated the rotation earlier this morning. I picked a random order. I mean, again, like you guys on the engineering side, please do feel free to update it based on your availability. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Any other announcements or anything that we should all be aware of? If not, we'll move on to highlights and lowlights. There were a couple of ups and downs this past week. First one is that this call, the DeFi Weekly, was pretty well received. We had quite a bit of positive feedback from the community, so we're excited to keep this going. Are there any other highlights that anyone would like to recognize from the past week? There were
one small one. So we've been working on this curve proposal for a while, and it's been hard to get their attention. We still haven't quite figured everything out yet, but over this weekend, we've finally gotten some direct interaction with the curve founder, Michael, and other people on the team. And so Josh and I, mostly Josh, have been talking with kind of the important people on Curve to figure out what are the remaining pieces that are necessary. So we're making some progress there.
Great. And then, of course, low light from last week was that we had the problem with Zoom, where everyone was unable to unmute. But I think we've moved past that now with Discord. Seems to be working pretty well so far, despite the rocky start for me. Any other low lights? Okay, let's get into sprint planning then. There were several priorities from the prior 2 weeks that we had. We've had an ongoing audit underway with Open Zeppelin. Daniel, is there any update to give there? Any progress? I think it's the audit is wrapping up later this week. Is that right?
Yes, they actually said they would have us a PDF, or a week ago they said they'd have us a PDF within a day or two of now, and for their preliminary report, and then we'll go through and fix the things. So as soon as we get that, we'll start on fixing anything that's noted in there. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Doman gave us a demo last week on some front-end changes that he's making for the dApp to automatically route transactions to the best contract, the most economically beneficial contract for the user, whether it's Uniswap or our Origin Vault or our OUSD swap contract. And those changes are now in our staging environment, which is connected to mainnet, so it uses real money. It's not Rinkeby or another testnet. But if you want to test out those changes, you're welcome to do that. I've been doing that and posting in our discussion channel in Discord, and Doman's been working feverishly to get that to be production ready, and we'll have it deployed hopefully later this week. Domin, anything you wanted to add about that project?
I think you summed it up nicely. Maybe if anybody else has time for testing, currently it's only been me and Micah, and really Micah, thanks, you've done an amazing job like identifying a lot of the issues. So anybody else, who, if you have like 5 or 10 minutes and want to test, and if you identify some bugs, it'd be like very, very helpful. Or maybe have some UI suggestions if something doesn't make sense to you or is confusing. That'll also be helpful because it's quite an intensive change. And that's
and please drop the link in the discussion channel for everyone on how to get to the staging environment.
I'll do it now. Yeah.
Progress? Yeah, great.
I already did it.
I know one of the stretch goals was to include our curve pool. Did you get a chance to make any progress on that front?
No, not yet. Currently, I'm on a fence if doing this in the first release or not is if Uniswap should support all of the stable coins. It really depends on how fast we want to get that out. But for curve pool, it's hard for me to estimate how long it's gonna take to get it done. It's really, I guess, do we really want this in the first release, and are we okay with, I don't know, delaying it a day or a day and a half, or maybe I have no idea how to estimate.
If you haven't started on it, I think the goal is still get it out there, and then we can iterate. I was just curious if you happen to have made any progress in.
Is that something we want to highly prioritize after the launch?
After we
I
launch,
think,
yeah.
Yeah, I think we had agreed last week that it would be it would not be a launch blocker, and we've got it slated right now as a sprint priority for next week.
Great.
Okay. Thanks, Domin, for getting that over the finish line. Daniel, how's the Aave V2 strategy launch going?
We just finished our reviews of it, and I know the auditors have been looking at it as well. They sent us a correction on one spot of it. We have not. I'm going to take one final pass on it tomorrow, now that we've completed our internal PR reviews, and then I'll merge it tomorrow. That could make us ready to merge it either tomorrow, or start deploying it either tomorrow night or whenever. At that point, Tom, it's up to whenever you're good on deploying. Do you have any idea, schedule-wise, what's your availability?
Should be pretty free. So whenever.
Okay, I'll target having it merged tomorrow night, my time. So like 26 hours from now.
Sounds good.
Great. And Daniel, how about the OGN Buyback Upgrade?
That's in a similar state. It's written. I think people have checked it, although I think Tom, we're still missing a PR review from you on it. And then I'll do a final review, but we could merge it probably at the same time.
Oh,
Matt, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I believe you asked Daniel a question, right?
Yeah, it just sounded like you might have dropped off, and now you're back. Okay, Daniel, how about the 3-pool relaunch?
That is about started. So that's not, that'll be toward the end of next.
Say that again, Daniel.
That should be towards the, okay.
I can't
That is
hear
about
you, Daniel.
10% started. Okay, Micah can hear me though, right?
Yeah, I think, Matt, your connection might be slipping. Go ahead, Daniel.
Okay. The curve stuff is about 10% started with the convex integration. I'm keeping the old convex or the old using the curve gauge code around in case we want to switch back to that at some point in the future. So we'll have both, and I'm setting it up so that all the common stuff is inherited from one place. But basically, it's about 2 weeks out.
Okay, so we're not relaunching the three-pool strategy without Convex.
Correct.
Okay. And then Tom, there was Gnosis safe integration that you were working on. That was pretty much done last week, but needed to get it over the finish line. How's that going?
So I ran into some complexities with displaying the different transaction states in Gnosis. So like how many people have signed and that sort of thing. I started refactoring the transaction listener, and I got most of the. Well, I made some changes to that, but I decided I would merge it as is because it does work. You can mint and redeem and so on. Just the UI display is not perfect. So I figure I'll merge it and try and get it approved by Gnosis because I really had to move on to some contract stuff because I was holding up Daniel. So from my end, it's ready to go as is now. It's not perfect. We can improve it after we get it approved and running.
Sorry, Tom. I think I was supposed to review that a couple of days ago. Would it be useful if I do it tonight? The transaction listener stuff and
Yeah,
yeah.
If you have time. I know you've got all that other stuff that you're working on, which is pretty significant, and we also have to address how we're going to merge it. I don't know if our changes are sort of going to collide.
Yeah, it probably is gonna collide, but I'll find time and review it tonight. Sorry about delaying it.
No problem.
But I think your strategy is right, Tom. Like it's good enough to get approved by Gnosis. So we might as well kick off that process, and then we can continue to improve it from there.
Okay, let's talk then about the new sprint priorities for the upcoming 2 weeks. We mentioned adding the curve transaction routing that Josh brought up. So that'll be a priority for Doman. Daniel mentioned that the convex strategy is part of the the three-pool relaunch. And then if there are any other findings from Open Zeppelin in their audit, then Tom will be the owner for implementing necessary fixes there with help from Daniel, I assume. Is that right? Or vice versa?
I don't know that we have a plan. Yeah, just go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Whoever is awake. And then, Frank, did you add the precision upgrade as a possible priority?
Yeah, I was wondering if we should, if we will have time to do that in this sprint, or if it's not realistic.
So, did we want to have a discussion, or that's a big discussion? Should we have it now or later? I saw that was also on the agenda later. Okay, then I'll pick now. So I think that it's the contract stuff is written for that upgrade. And I'm interested to see Open Zeppelin's thoughts on its correctness and on that kind of approach to doing it. I think it's the simplest in the long run and keeps our code the cleanest going forward. It does require that we have a 1 hour downtime. And the sooner we do it, it'll be easier for us. But obviously, it's super important that we get it right. As far as actual work goes, we need to write the scripts to fire off the transactions to run it for each account. So that's the big remaining chunk of coding work. And then obviously, we'll need to make sure that we have a good way to test it on a simulated fork to make sure it works. So I think it's a chunk of work, a sprint's worth of work for me if I'm working on it. Tom's probably a more productive person than I am. But if I'm working on that, it basically is either working on 3-pool convex or that for a sprint. We can pick which one we want to prioritize if I'm working on it, or somebody else could take one or the other. I think it'd be good to have it in before we start the liquidity mining, just because the amount of people and the amount of dollars is likely to massively go up after that point.
Okay. We can talk more about it during the week and figure out where it fits into the list. Are there any other, that was sprint planning. Are there any other engineering topics that anyone wants to cover while we're here?
Yeah, one thing I threw on the sprint track, and again, this is a little bit dependent on how much work we get back from Open Zeppelin, how many cycles we have, but there's a number of like very, small projects, but actually add up to pretty significant user experience, in my opinion, particularly for Ledger users. So when our Ledger integration forces you to use the first wallet with their, the default derivation path. It'd be really nice to be able to select your derivation path and choose which wallet you want to use. When you have contract data turned off in your ledger, it doesn't give you a nice warning or error message. And so that would be a very easy thing for us to fix. Just be like, hey, you don't have contract data turned on, go turn that on. Who knows how many millions of dollars we've lost from people not figuring that out. And then the last thing on Ledger is they have the Ledger Live App Store, where similar to what we did with Gnosis, it'd be nice to have our app, be able to load in the Ledger Live Store and get more visibility. So I put that on as maybe a stretch goal if we have some extra cycles, particularly more on the UI side. That'd be good for us to tackle those things.
Okay. Let's shift to talking about the business priorities, unless anyone else had any other engineering topics to cover. I saw Mike was asking for more information about the precision upgrade. So Daniel, if you want to point to an open issue or anything that we have for that, it'd be helpful.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be dealt with now. I was just looking to read up a little bit more on it.
Sure.
You can catch me after the call, Mike, and I can talk through what I'm thinking on it, current approach.
Cool. So Josh, you mentioned that or Matt might have mentioned that we have open dialogue now with the Curve team. So I saw that proposal was closed that we had discussed last week. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what the next step is there and where we're headed?
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out what the next step is, but we have a little bit of an understanding on why it's so unclear. So they just launched. So we launched V2 of our permissionless pools. If you go to crv.to, you'll see that they just deployed V3 over the weekend. So there's a new UI, and there's a whole new interface, both from the primary Curve UI as well as in the crv.to UI for launching these new version 3 pools. They have all sorts of options for choosing what kind of slope you want, what kind of assets you have, and you can create these new pools. So I guess there's some plan for the V3 pools to have an automatic path to creating gauges and offering rewards. You may have seen there's also bribe.curve.fi came out. Andre came out with a tool where you can basically offer bribes to anyone who votes to give CRV gauge rewards to your pool. And so now there's a whole UI for how you can do that. And I guess the plan is for us all to get tied together nicely. But it's all very new and very much in flux, which I think is kind of why we're having such a hard time figuring out what we need to do. I'm currently trying to get an answer from them on whether we should stay the course with our V2 pool, or if we should, pull all our liquidity and move everything over to V3. It seems like it might be better for us to just move everything over to V3 since that's where we're headed. And it might, we're planning to like automate stuff. But like very few people have used it, so we'll need to be a little bit more careful on like auditing it and taking a look at what actually we changed.
Yeah.
To make sure we're comfortable throwing all our money in there as like, one of the very first projects to actually use it.
And I think that bribe thing got white hacked this morning.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, is there anything that we can do to help move that along?
I mean, if anyone can help figure out what they changed with V3, how risky it is for us to move our capital over, that would be helpful. I haven't had a lot of time to really dig into that yet, but hoping to get it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. We just need to kind of understand whether to stay in V2 or move to V3, and maybe we do both, but just with like way smaller capital in V3 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, but again, the good news is that we're in direct communication with the founders, and so we're hopefully going to get some clarifying answers to the questions, and there'll be a little bit less ambiguity.
Good deal. Max, I see that you had talked to the DeFi Pulse team. It sounds like there might be a little bit of engineering work that would need to be done for that. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I had a call with one of the representatives from DeFi Pulse this morning. Yeah, they just wanted to add us, I guess, to maybe their crypto dollars list and hopefully as well the earn income one. But yeah, he sent me the instructions over about what we need to do to get things ready on our side. And he reckons it's just a few minutes of work. So I'll send over the instructions that he sent to me. But he said once we do that, they'll add us, and then they're interested in doing some co-marketing, maybe to chat with Matt or Josh or someone else from the team. And then he also brought up something about empty set dollar. It seems like they're involved with them in some capacity, and they're going through some changes, going from an algorithmic stablecoin to collateralizing a little bit. And yeah, he wanted to explore possibly us working with them on that on a separate call.
Huh, interesting.
But, yeah.
We know some of the ESD, like the original ESD whales, and I know they were considering like some collateralization stuff, but we had never really thought in that vein. Yeah, okay. Maybe let's learn more about that. I'm not sure if there's opportunity or not, but we should learn more.
Yeah, he didn't go into too much detail. He really wanted to only discuss it on another call, which is fair enough. So the first thing was really just to try to get OUSD on the DeFi Pulse website.
Great. Thanks for working on that, Max.
Cool.
We had a question from, I should remember who it was. Elise, I think is how you say it. A question in Discord about how to get more involved. Or actually, no, this might have been Kurogi again. But thanks to both of you for the agenda suggestions in Discord. So I came up with a short list of things that were top of mind for me. Of course, we have a lot of GitHub issues in our open source repo. So any engineers are welcome to submit a pull request and tackle any of those if you would like to make a contribution. And then like an example is Doman's work that he has up in the staging environment. It'd be great to have more people banging on that and help us test and identify any issues. Then we have the docs at docs.ousd.com, where we probably could be maintaining those better all the time and adding clarity and more documentation around different concepts. So those are also open source. Anyone's welcome to make a contribution there. And then we have our governance portal at vote.originprotocol.com, and everyone's welcome to make a proposal there. I think you need a minimum amount of OGN to be able to do that. But then we would encourage everyone to vote on those proposals and help guide the future of the protocol. Any other suggestions from the team about how to get involved?
I think the next category is also great for community to help with as well, which is how do we continue to get Origin Dollar and OGN for that matter integrated into as many different wallets and apps and DeFi protocols and projects as possible. And so we're very eager to be on every trading AMM, on every lending protocol, and every wallet, everywhere we possibly can be. We really want Origin Dollar to be ubiquitous, and the more of it we can be available for anyone who wants to use it, the better. So really appreciate the community and the way that people are already helping in this regard of reaching out to their favorite wallet providers and saying, hey, why is Origin not included here? That's always super appreciated and really helpful.
Yeah, thanks for the reminder on that. That is the next topic on the agenda, and I think it was Elise who asked about integrations. So I've shared the link in Discord to a list that we had created over time, listing all the various wallets, and some of them we've tested and verified that OUSD shows up automatically, that the token icon is visible, those sorts of things. But if anybody wants to jump in and leave comments there on things that are already working or aren't working in various wallets, then that would be really helpful. And like Josh said, if you want to take on one of them and figure out what it would require to make the integration happen, or get the token to show up automatically, then that would be really helpful. A lot of times it's just submitting a pull request with the appropriate assets to that team, or just letting us know, oh, it already works out of the box. And I'm sure there are a lot of other wallets and token lists that we don't have in that sheet, so feel free to add those also. And then Josh, you talked to, Coleman, yeah?
Yeah, so I was tasked with trying to get us on Ledger, and they finally got back to us. I mean, we had submitted a request, I think in November or something of last year, and I submitted a new request on their Trello board to have OUSD added, and they seem to be confused. I don't know if there's confusion of, OGN versus OUSD, but they seem to be under the impression that OUSD is already added, even though I can't find OUSD on their GitHub or on their website token list. So I don't know if someone who has OUSD and a ledger wants to test it out, or where I should look to confirm this or not. But I have a open comment that I haven't submitted to their Trello yet, and it's basically saying I don't believe OUSD is currently supported, but OGN is, as far as I can tell. So I didn't want to post that until I can get independent confirmation that OUSD is indeed supported.
I'll check.
That is correct. At least as of maybe a week or two ago. So unless you just added it, yeah, it's not there. And I check it in the Ledger Live app, their Mac app.
So he got back to me less than 24 hours ago, so I don't know if something has changed.
Let me check right now. I'll check right now.
Coleman, do you want to continue pushing that one forward if it still needs to be done?
Yeah, I have the comment, but just haven't posted until someone confirms that OUSD has not been added in the last few days.
Okay.
Yep, and then it's worth noting just kind of timeline sequencing here. The really big ones we're going for are getting on Aave, Compound, things like that, and that's going to happen after we do liquidity mining, which of course is going to happen after we do these upgrades, and go through the fixes on security audit. So there's a little bit of a sequencing process here. We think it'll be a lot easier to get on, Compound after we have significantly more capital in OUSD, for example. So not that we're not prioritizing it, it's just that it makes a little bit of sense for us to wait and do it after the liquidity mining is hopefully successful.
Hey guys, just a quick update. I do see Origin Dollar listed. It has no price and consequently no value, and it doesn't have a logo. But at least in Ledger Live, it does say Origin Dollar and the right amount.
Okay.
So Coleman, I think you should still follow up and say, cool, we see that's listed, but we want to update the logo, and can you assign a price to it? Although it looks like they don't actually, in the Ledger Live app, they actually don't have a price for DAI or TUSD either. That's really weird.
All right. Are there any other topics that you guys want to cover before we get into any introductions from the community here?
There was I posted an article by Andre about the new liquidity mining concepts. So I don't know if that's something that we would ever consider, or some people said it was interesting. So
For sure. Yeah, I'll share that link in the discussion channel too while we're here. Anybody have any thoughts about it?
Oh, it's really interesting and sure makes sense as a project that's bootstrapping itself up from having no revenue, kind of almost like a hybrid VC model slash fair launch. But from an implementation point of view, boy, would it be a pain to tie into a project like that. And do yield farming with it, which I guess is part of the goal of that strategy.
I'm guessing that's a no then from us. We're not pursue this.
Coleman, I haven't had a chance to look over it yet. Okay, cool. Thanks, Micah.
All right. Is there anyone who would like to say hi and let us know how you found out about us, what you're working on, anything that you wanted to add?
Hey everyone, can you see me?
Yep.
Yes. Hey, so it's Kuroge. I'm Victor actually, but Kuroge is my product engineering business. So you could call me Kuroge. I met you guys at when I was in SF in I guess I met some of you at the Origin party. But yeah, so I do product engineering and been working on the stablecoin systems. So I'm excited for Origin and Origin Dollar and happy to see the growth.
Great to see you here. I remember that party well.
Thanks for the support. Hopefully we can hang out soon.
Cool, likewise.
Who else wants to say hi?
I'll say hello if y'all can see me. My name is Jason Murphy, and I'm more recent to OGN as of June. And I started coming across you guys, with mentions in Time Magazine, USA Today, Fortune. I mean, just heavy hitters. I think you guys have a great approach with the NFT drops, with what you're doing. The Michael Yamashita, I mean, just the breadth and depth, right, from National Geographic photographer to Lupe Fiasco in the hip hop world. So I follow you guys daily. I try not to overpump you guys on Twitter, but just to, provide that constant drumbeat of, hey, that you guys are doing great things. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for being here. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you doing this kind of call. It's awesome. The visibility, the transparency. It's awesome to hear what you guys are doing. So
Great to have you. Anyone else?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Yeah, my name is Daniel. I'm the Twitter guy. And basically, in the morning, my son, who's 3 years old, not 3 years old, almost 3 years old, he just told me straight away, buy OGN. That was the morning how it starts. He's already outside actually shouting. But anyway, my thing, why I wanted to introduce myself, is the thing. Oh. Oh, anyway, my thing is that basically I want to create a proposal, and I already wrote to Snapshot, but for some reason I'm not able to do that. So I'm able to do everything, but when you publish, when you click publish, it's just gray. So I just can't publish. My proposal will be that we have an NFT marketplace that's fantastic, and guys, you are really brave that you are doing this DeFi call. I mean, this is fantastic for the community, and this is you are very transparent. So this is really brave, actually. Kind of risky as well to do it, to be honest, but yeah, it's fantastic. So, but anyway, but my proposal would be that we need like a gallery function, like a museum function. So not only for this reason, you don't want to sell your NFT, you just want to boast, you just want to display, yeah. And then someone can take a proposal, but they cannot buy it outright. And you can select what NFT wants to put there and how you want to display and which one. So it's like a museum, it's like a gallery, really, a gallery function. Like that guy, lazy.com, he's doing that as well. The what's his name? The guy, the big guy.
That sounds really cool. If you want, I could talk you through or work through with you and figure out what the error is that's going on there after this call.
Yeah, please.
Thanks. Yeah, because that sounds like a great thing to vote on and a great idea.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. I think for lazy.com, you probably mean Mark Cuban. But yeah, we're excited to have your proposal. That's what all community governance is all about. And so I think it's a great idea. I would love for you to propose this as a community, and then we can all vote and also get other people to vote. And this is the direction we want to head, right? Decentralized governance, community-generated proposals, community votes that kind of help us steer the direction of the project. So thank you for that.
Good deal. Anyone else want to say hi? If not, then maybe we'll hear from you next week. Any other closing thoughts from the team, or anything else that we should cover before we go?
I just want to ask, last week I brought up about the forum thing for governance. Have we made a decision on that, if we might be able to add something like that to discuss any of these governance proposals?
We can. I think one of I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's worth discussing. I'm a little reticent of having too many different places that information can live. Largely because as an outsider, like trying to figure out Curve, they have 5 different sets of documentation and 3 different forums and voting systems, and but it's most of it gets out of date, and it's not clear which one is sort of a canonical source. So I want us to be very careful and intentional about adding in new tools, and that if we add them in, that we're going to actually use them and keep them up to date, and it's not going to end up being like another point of confusion down the line. And so I think we can do it, but also want us to be sure we're ready to commit to it, and that we think that we need it versus just having ad hoc conversations in Discord, Google Docs, on in this call, or other places that the community is already engaging. So curious how what other thoughts other people have, and if it's useful to have more of a structured forum for these proposals, or if we want to keep using the tooling we already have.
And this was for something like a discourse
Yeah.
forum. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm basically exactly of Josh's opinion. I've Discourse, the software itself is amazing software and works really well. And I've been in several communities that have used it very effectively. But if you have two primary things, it's just going to be a ghost land, wasteland. And I think we could just try, if we wanted more structure to things or to keep a longer running topic, we could try Discord's new threads thing built into Discord. If we wanted to do kind of a bigger discussion on a governance thing. I really do think that it wouldn't, we don't have the volume of discussion on governance topics that would make it worth using it all right now. If we didn't have, our life active and running off of Discord, then Discourse could, forum software could be a good way to run it. But I think it just dilute discussion and be a wasteland that just kills off things that go there.
So let's make a decision of not now, not necessarily a not ever, but let's not do it right now. Like Daniel said, the volume of proposals is quite low right now, so it doesn't feel like something that's worth the effort.
All right. Should we look at making the governance thing kind of like Daniel, you were saying, I don't know, having the threads or different things like that for the proposals that are made, or do you think it's not necessary?
Yeah, we
to
could
worry
just,
about that
I mean,
step?
I don't think we really need to worry about it. If we wanted to, we could just create a thread in discussion when we post something or someone posts something and for discussion on it. If anybody has something to say, but otherwise, just origin dollar discussion, I think is the place to talk about the proposals, and we can add structure as we need it.
We also have a governance channel on Discord. What we should do is add a pinned message there with some instructions for people who are issuing proposals. It's like, because the problem with Snapshot, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of space to like explain what to do and how it works. So we could have a little tutorial on how to issue a proposal, link to our blog post on it. Remind people you need to have 1,000 OGN to make a proposal, and then encourage them to start a new thread in the channel along with the proposal that they issue, and then that way everything just stays nice and organized in that one channel.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Cool. I'll take that as an action item to write that up.
All right. Thanks, Josh. Anything else before we go? Anyone? All right. Maybe meta discussion real quick. How does everyone feel about Discord as a mechanism for this call?
So I think it was a little rough getting started, just understanding chats happening in one section, video happening in another section. But I think overall it's gone pretty smoothly, and so that learning curve should be pretty easy. And so I would be down to try it again next week, and hopefully we'll have a smoother start. But certainly much better experience than what we had last week with all the Zoom malfunctions.
Yeah, I like it too. Everyone's already here, so it's a very obvious place for us to do it.
For sure.
Yep, I'm good with doing this next week.
How is it on a mobile, Josh? Work okay walking around?
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's just a little hard to do like the chats and see the conversation there at the same time, but otherwise it's pretty good.
All right. Well then, same time, same place next week, and otherwise we'll see you in Discord. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, bye-bye.
See y'all.
Yeah, have a great one.